Hey everybody, welcome to our first edition of the Winter Speaker Series for 2024. As you know, our topic is women in sailing, and the real, I think, core objective of the presentation and the experience that we're going to hear about really is to encourage more women. I think at the best of times we're not the most diverse crowd out here, and I think getting more women involved and other people from our community. We have our Open Doors program, and so this is a great initiative. And we're going to hear from Kit Homewood, who's been a member at NSC for about 11 years with her hubby, Eric. And she's been a Monday night racer for 10 years, has been part of our social day cruising and all of the courses offered at NSC, and has been an assistant racing officer, club racing officer, a protest judge, which is pretty interesting. Can be tense, as I hear as well. And she's also an NSC Women's Flight representative and co-organizer of the last 3 Women in Wind. Kit Homewood will be joined for the presentation by Lisa Shishis. She's a BYC member for 15 years, has been Commodore, was on the board 3 years, youth director 7 years, and the board of CODA for 5 years, racing committees with Sail Canada, and has been encouraging women to participate in all aspects, including race committees and race officers. So, active participant as well in our Monday nights on a Rainbow 26, Niagara 26 Rainbow, and has participated in Sail Canada Women's Keel Championships. I think I should stop and let them tell you about what they've actually done. I'd like you to come up, ladies, and join us, and let's welcome our Kit and Lisa for our first talk.
Thanks, Jeff. So this is a presentation about women sailing on Lac de Chêne. As Jeff mentioned, there are women out there sailing all the time, but we don't have a large number of women involved. So there are women racing out in all of our events, whether it's evening, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Wednesday too. Weekend events, women skippers, women crew, and but the number is never as big as we would like to see it. So tonight we're going to go through the activities going on at NSC and jointly interclub racing, and how we want to work this year to try and increase the number of women sailors and get more women active in the sailing events here. So in mid-70s, women's dinghy racing was actually going on at NSC, but it was in the late 1980s, 1987, when we actually started women's keelboat racing. And that would have been part of the interclub series. And so in 1988, there was the first series of 6 races for women. And it was then in the late 90s, early 2000s, when Women in Wind Act started. And it started through grants provided by Sail Canada, and it was to be seminars put on by women for women, and was to be 1 or 2 of days events. And their focus at that point was really drawing females to the sport, fine-tuning the skills of existing sailors, and through sharing knowledge and experience. And we continue to do that today. Women in Wind here at the Interclub is done by both BYC and NSC, and it's a biennial event. And it has workshops, as you can see, for cruisers, for women learning to race, and for those racers who are trying to fine-tune some skills and be better racers. And you can protest too. This is 2018. This was about the women who were at the Women in Wind. So we have drawn big crowds. Wednesday's dinghy racing at NSC. This is a picture actually of the Martin 16 Able Sail program. And we have other fleets out. Women are involved in that. And BYC has...
Yeah, so at BYC we also have a dinghy race on Wednesday nights. Typically, who you're gonna see there are laser masters. We're probably getting some feedback, so I'm gonna step way over here. I am on a mic. Yep. That didn't work. Well, there we go. Okay. So we do have women's racing on Wednesday nights. Typically, Wednesdays are our laser nights with the Laser Masters. We do have some women participating in that. But we also do have any dinghy racing can come out. So if Kelly and I decided to get into a 420 and decided to race, that's not a problem, and we could do that as well. So we do have lots of women that come out on the Wednesday nights to participate in dinghy racing. Oh, and I just have to say, and also a lovely junior right here, Zoe, also does participate in the Wednesday racing too.
So at NSC last year, they started doing a dinghy skills program to help participants get practice racing starts and to get familiar with how the races were run and how to get out there and do the racing. And it's open to everyone. But this year, as we move forward, we want to get more women out on the dinghies. So we're using women mentors to support new and experienced female dinghy sailors. So looking forward to that moving, okay. It's moving forward more faster than I am. Monday evenings, this is a picture of our start, but it is 2 divisions start on the first gun. And that's the Division 1A and Division 1B. They're women's skippers and crews. We've got crews that have been racing together for about 20 years, and we've got other crews that are new each year. So Division 1A and B is an opportunity for women to hone their racing skills. And there's 2 divisions. They're split according to perf ratings, and within each fleet, there are a mix of type of boats. Yeah, I'm echoing. Oh, okay. Like I'm eating it here. And there are boats that are using spinnakers and those that are not using spinnakers. And boats are owned by women or syndicates. Ooh, didn't turn out well. There's women who are racing on the Vantage Boat Sail Share program, and there are boats that the owner has lent the boat to the crew to use, and the owner can stay on board for that. There's 2 series of races rather than the 3, though we race the same start in May when the other series start, and we end at the end of September, but we don't race on statutory holidays. So being a Monday night, that limits the amount of races we have. Lisa?
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the coach events. So at the same time that we have the women's racing on Monday evenings, we also have a second start, which we call coach boats. So what that typically is you have women who are maybe just getting into racing and they would like to learn more, and they can bring a coach on board, whether that coach is male or female. What happens is the coach is there just to give verbal support. And they are not allowed to touch the boat. They're not allowed to do anything. Basically, we get them confined to the companionway. We tell them only talk when we ask you questions. That's all we need from you. We don't need anything else. The nice thing about this program and the whole women's program is before COVID, our interclub women's program was the largest women's fleet competing in Canada. So our programs have been recognized across Canada around how we develop women sailors, how we encourage women sailing, and we've been recognized a lot for that, and a lot of clubs have come out and modeled our experience. So especially with this unique coach boat program. The other thing that happens, and this is what we really need to start building up again, which we've kind of lost, is some of the coach boats are owned by other members, and women, they don't rent the boats, but they participate in the coach boat program, and so it could be somebody owning the boat, and then the women are on that, so that's how we get people to participate and get involved. We need to rebuild this program, and we need volunteer coaches to help us get that going. So if you're interested to support new women learning how to sail, learning how to race, this is a great way to get involved and support the sport growing for women in this area.
And you're going to do, oh,
yeah, this is me too. So also what we do mid-season is we do a raft up. So all the women that are racing on Monday nights get together. We do this amazing raft up and we all gather. There's a little bit of wine that's drank through that, not too much, just a little bit. And you can see how big our raft ups are, and we have lots of fabulous food, and we share great stories, and we just generally have a really fabulous time doing our raft up.
So this year at NSC, we're trying to increase the knowledge and the opportunities for women to get involved in the racing. So we're going to go do what we did pre-COVID, which was to have discussion groups after the Monday night races to focus on skills and techniques and strategies that were used on the Monday night. We're looking to put occasional coaches on the Division 1A and B. So that would be someone who would come onto the boat, experienced racer, to just give you an idea of your strengths, your weaknesses, how you might be able to improve your sailing skills. And then we're going to also encourage women to move from one boat to another, just to allow women to see how other boats operate and to learn that way. However, to succeed at this, we need more coaches, female and male, and we need keelboat owners willing to take on a coaching crew, as Lisa said. And we need more women skippers, because we do have every year far more women who are willing and wanting to get out there and race than we have boats, crewing positions available. So anybody interested, please let me know. And we have racing where we're far apart. We also get nice and close.
You're not racing unless you're rubbing. Just telling you. So the women's long distance race, I have a little bit of history about this race that I wanted to share with you. So, and I can't do that without my glasses. So actually, the first women's long distance race was held in 1957. And those were dinghies. And that was started at Britannia, and those were in international 14s. So that's the first record we have of women doing long distance races. And it was probably the Queen's Park course that they did. In 1979, we found an SI that actually had women racing long distance again in lasers. So that happened for a while. In 1992, Joan Ewell, who was an active member at BYC, still an active member at BYC, repurposed the racing to keelboats. So that goes back to what we were talking about before, about the long distance racing happening in keelboats. And then again in 2018, David Foy, our fleet captain, brought the women's series back to what we see now and what we're racing now, which is the women's long distance races, which is what we follow is the Queen's Park course. So we've had great success in that. And what we're looking at doing at Britannia is rededicating a trophy to the interclub so that we can award an interclub award for the long distance race, and so we'd like to be able to do that to continue to support long distance racing around the area.
Great. And that's for you.
Ah, yes. So we do more than just Lake Champlain. Every year, Sail Canada holds a women's keelboat championship race. It's kind of not happened for the past couple years. But the first one that I participated in was at Britannia. Britannia actually hosted the race, and it was in Sharks. And I know Kelly raced in that. We had 22, we had 22 registrants for that race. It was a lot of fun. Racing at this level, this was my first time doing this level of racing. It was so much fun just being there with women, having some competition, and doing this, I think it was a 3 or 4 day event. We had a blast. This picture here you see right here, we actually, after we went to Ottawa, here in Ottawa, we also went to Lunenburg and we raced in Lunenburg. And I think some of you were there. So anybody, who was there that's in the room? Was anybody there in Lunenburg? So we raced in Lunenburg. The funny thing about this picture is I'm in the pink jacket. So this is a BYC team that you see here. Lunenburg Yacht Club took this picture and is now using it to promote their women's sailing. So we are so good here in Ottawa that they use our image to promote women's sailing, which is pretty cool. Right, we should get royalties for that and put it back into the women's program. You also have the Labor Liberty Regatta in New York City. Cork, always, where there's no specific women's racing in Cork, we should think about moving that along. There's always a wonderful regattas in Cork. Class regattas like the Sharks, J22s, J80s, and Northeast Championships. J22 regatta is another big regatta that we do see a lot of women's crews in. So there's lots of opportunity for women who want to expand their racing and participate at a higher level outside of Lac Chien.
And as well, we have officiating at the races. So if you're interested in racing, sometimes people are interested in going and officiating. Lisa is a club race officer, and she is also just getting her regional race officer certification. She will be the 5th woman in Canada to have that classification. Lisa's also a certified club judge, and she's been race officer and a member of the race committee for a number of events, including NOD, Cork, Lyra 2023, the Viper North American Championships, and the J22 Ontario Championships in 2023. Yeah.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about officiating. So there's a different levels. So you have your assistant race officer, your club race officer, your regional race officer, national race officer, international race officer. And then we get into the mark layers. You have an assistant mark layer, a mark layer. So those are all positions that you can hold with Sail Canada for officiating. At NSC, you volunteer on evenings and or long distance race committees. So you here volunteer to do that, and the majority of you have gone through the ARO program or the CRO program. And at BYC and NSC, we're always asking for volunteers who will be on race committee. We can't run a regatta without volunteers, without people having the knowledge. It's really, I love working with other women on race committee, but I don't get to do that often enough because there's not a lot of us who actually work at that level. So I'm just going to give you a little example by numbers. So by numbers right now, and these are Ontario numbers, so the assistant race officer program, there are 217 assistant race officers registered in Ontario. 85 of those are female. This course is a one-day course. It's attached to the CRO course, but it's a one-day course. You just take it. There's no test. You just learn about the different positions of being on the boat and supporting a race. The next is club race officer. There's 36 in Ontario that are registered currently, and it drops down to 8 females. So there's only 8 women in Ontario that hold the club race officer position. You can see as we move along how things change, but the club race officer is a 12-hour course. You have to have practical experience. So you have to have run club races like we do here, and you have to have about 3 or 4 of those under your belt to submit your application. So just attending the course and writing the test is not good enough. You have to have practical experience. You also have to have your PCOC card. You need to have your radio operator's card. And you have to have, you put in your application into Ontario Sailing for Ontario at this point. Regional race officer, there's only 11 in Ontario. We have 3 females. So once I get mine, and Sail Canada has delayed that meeting, but I checked, it's next week. I will be the, actually I included myself in that. So I will be the 3rd female regional race officer in Ontario. That is a 3-day course. You have to pass a test with 70%. You have to have 2 years experience as a CRO. What they do is they do it on a point system. So I have to list all the regattas I've worked at. And again, the more complicated the regatta, the more points you get. And then once you reach a level of points, your application goes into Sail Canada. At this point, you need your PRO, your radio operator's card. You also need the safe sport, which is new. So you have to have done your safe sport check, and you need a police check. So those are the things you need for that. Moving on to national race officer, there's only 5 national race officers in Ontario, 1 female. That's the only race officer that we have, a national race officer that we have. And again, it's it's the same course. You have to have 80% to pass. You have to have 2 years experience, and the same thing. International race officer, you actually have to get invited to apply. So Sail Canada will recommend, and you need to, you're invited to apply for this, and your application goes to World Sailing. And at this point, we only have 1 female race officer in Ontario that's at the national level, and we actually only have 2 in Canada that sit at this level. So you can see how we need more women in the sport and more women officiating, and that will be great. Right now, this is a boys' club. I can tell you that strongly. It's fun dealing with all the guys, but I do sometimes get pushback being a female, and I do sometimes get challenged on my knowledge. It's getting better, absolutely, but it's taking me probably 7 years to get to the spot where I am at regional race officer. And that's by pushing people to say, please include me, please include me, please include me. So that's just a little bit. So if you're interested, I'd be happy to give you more information. When we talk about assistant mark layers and mark layers, we have 30 assistant mark layers in Ontario, 6 are female. It's a 4-hour course, you can see that. Actual mark layers, certified mark layers, we have 2 in Ontario that are female. One of them is that lovely girl right up there. Her name is Isabel Foy. She's out of Britannia, and she's worked all the NSC regattas. She's amazing, and now she's sought after because she's really good at what she does. One of the reasons she's really good at what she does is because she doesn't listen to her dad. She's independent, and she thinks on her own. But congratulations to Isabel. So I can explain what a mark layer is. So as an RO, so as somebody who is running the race course, when we set our courses, we set marks. And what I need to do is I need to radio to my mark layer. I'm telling them, I want you to set my windward mark at 1 nautical mile, and I want it at this degrees, because I've looked at the wind and I've based the wind. So I send my mark layer to go up and do that, and if I have a really good mark layer, they're going to come back to me and they're going to go, this looks good, I agree with you, this is where the wind's coming, because 1 nautical mile up, I can't see, I can't tell, I'm relying on my mark layer, or my mark layer is going to tell me, Lisa, you don't know what you're talking about, and we need to move the course. So that's what the mark layer does, and the mark layer sets the rest of the course based off the directions that I've given them to lay that first mark. This is one of the most important roles on the race committee. You got to be strong, and you want to get wet, because you're pulling marks up and you're putting marks back in the water, And then when there's a wind shift, I'm yelling at that mark layer to move the mark, move the mark, move the mark, change it quick, we gotta do this, we gotta do that. And so that's what a mark layer is. So really the mark layer is the one that kind of manages the rest of that course and how it sits based on the race officer's input. So this is us at Lyra this year. So again, that's me in my pink jacket. In the blue jacket is Devin, who's a member at this club. It was really, really awful weather. And we're literally looking out there and we're looking for the weather mark. We can't find it, we can't see anything. I'm not able to, I'm not getting radio transmission from my mark at this point. It was awful, so we're just looking at there, and that's what we do. We sit there and we're in the pouring rain or whatever, we'll run a race. So continuing officiating at regattas, this is a picture of a women's keelboat championship in Ottawa. I'm in boat 09 right there. Kelly is in boat 08 right there. I don't know if you know that, but that's us beating you across the finish line for the first time ever. So this is just another picture about how fun it is to do that. I love being on race committee because I get to see the boats rounding the marks. I get to see strategies. I get to see how things are going. So it's a lot of fun being an official. I do miss racing regattas, but I'd actually rather be on the official side. So, yeah.
NSC, we have the social day cruising. Again, it's open to everybody. It's not just strictly a women's event, but we are trying to get keelboats out with skippers who will take on crew, and whether they're new crew or new sailors or whether they're experienced, to come out and go out on the water, master your skills, learn how to sail. It is open to NSC members and non-members. Non-members can sign up, and if we have enough spaces, and when we go out to sail, the non-members get invited as well. Sailing's Friday and Saturdays is the rule, so one of those each week. But what we are looking for this year is to bring out more women skippers so that we can give the women who are coming out crewing a chance to actually crew on with a women skipper. And this has been asked for over the last couple of years by women who come out to sail. They want to sail with a women skipper to see what it's like to be on a boat with a whole women crew.
So one of the other things we did, this was the first year I think we did this. Yeah. So we did a women's sailing indoor raft up in September. And it was here, and it was so much fun. And I see some familiar faces of people who were there. So it was just an evening event where we got to know one another a little bit better, who's racing on Lake Deschênes. One of the exercises we went through, which I think was great, we had these squares on the floor, and there were questions asked, if go in this square if you've done this, go in this square if you've done this. It was really interesting to see how many years of experience we have on the river with women in sailing and racing. It was really wonderful. We talked about dinghy skills training. We talked about how to attract new female sailors and support existing women. We talked about building, this is me all the time, building more women on race committee, getting people involved. We talked about women's sailing charters, so we had a presentation. If you want to charter a boat, what does that look like, and how we can do that. And it really is just developed a network for women dinghy sailors. So this stuff is where we are able to get together, we're able to share our ideas, we're able to come together as a community across Lake Deschênes, and really build that sense of community. So it doesn't matter what club you're from, it doesn't matter that you're an NSC member, BYC member, Canada Sailing Club member. It's just about talking about women and enjoying the sport of sailing from a female perspective.
And that ends our presentations. So if there's any questions?
Thank you very much for that amazing presentation. I've never raced before, and I'm just curious. I'm assuming that the other regattas that are offered by these two clubs are co-ed.
Yes.
For both male and female. So I was just wondering, assuming that you've had experience with both of those types of races, what are the benefits for you for having an all-female crew? Have you noticed many differences, or is there one that you prefer? I'm just curious about that.
Dynamics on boats is one. Commandership, it really is just about, they're often, it is a different dynamic, and it's not that it's better or worse, but it's a different dynamic, and often we just go out and we just get silly and have fun while we're racing.
And I think that really important part is probably getting silly and have fun. So I've been involved for the Coach Pro program for a very long time. And our poor coach hears things that he never wants to hear because the conversation is different. But really, I think what I enjoy about sailing with other women, like Kit said, it really is the dynamics. It's just the fact that we're all there together. And it's not that bringing a male on board changes everything, but it does a little bit, right? So it's just this nice feeling of being in this women's space that it kind of feels safer sometimes. Yeah. And the food's better. That's true. We bring better food.
I just wonder, is the reason the Almer Club is not mentioned is because it's an Ontario kind of racing rules system, or is Almer just not plugged into our kind of?
Well, Almer is part of the, there are Almer boats that race on different nights, and we've had Almer boats racing on Monday nights for sure.
I hadn't heard that club mentioned, so I just assumed they weren't. But.
No, and in fairness, they weren't with us this year, and I'm not sure, it's probably pre-COVID since we've had one of the Almer boats with us.
Yeah. And that's specifically for women, but Elmer's still involved in other race nights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, I've been a member of the Lac du Chien Club just for 3 years now, so I don't have a long history of sailing on the river. Have there been dinghy racing? Has there been dinghy racing for women only over the years, from like interclub dinghy racing?
Yes, I understand there was in the 70s.
Many years ago. It's something that we can, I think with dinghy racing, it's something that we want to kind of bring back for women. And I think part of it is building the skills up for women for dinghy racing. I know that with my group of friends, we joke all the time about getting into a lacer, getting into a 420, or getting into dinghies, and how much fun that would be. I just think, I think what NSC is doing with building that skills is really great. But I'd like to see that expanded to our community, right? So how can all the clubs get together to promote dinghy racing? And we can absolutely do a start line with just women. That's no problem. Yeah.
Any other questions? That's it?
No, Dominic, sit back down.
Yes. By the way, Lara, thanks for putting a bullet in that race. It was horrible out there. We were really happy when you called it. Everyone wanted to go home, but no one wanted to be first. So, oh, thank God, Lisa said yes home.
I sent them home
We
during
were so
Lyra.
happy.
I'm like, we're done, we're canceling. And
Best race officer ever. To the topic at hand. Are there hurdles now around women owning boats? What do you see about the ratio of men to women? We know that in times past, one of the reasons for the coach boats on Mondays was because there weren't many women who actually owned boats, and you needed someone to get the boat out there. What's it like in terms of ownership? And are there hurdles in terms of ratio?
There's certainly women here that own their boats, not as many as the men. I don't think there's any real hurdles to owning the boats, except for women not feeling comfortable enough to be sailing on their own, not wanting to. But we're starting to see that change. I know we've got a couple of new members to NSC in the last year who have bought their boats and come and want to come out and race on Monday nights to learn better skills so that they feel that their skill strength is there to be actually sailing on their own, on their boats. And the issue we're finding is that women will buy a boat, but they're not really wanting to step up immediately and race their boat on their own boat. They want to go out and learn on somebody else's boat. Not because they just don't feel they have the skill set to do it. We're hoping some of them we may be able to convince that if they had a coach on board, they feel better about it. Maybe if we can give them some crew who actually are experienced crew rather than totally newbies. Because if you're a new skip and you have a boat full of new sailors, that's not how you want to learn. You do need some experience along the way. So it's a matter of us trying to get experienced crew who are willing to go on the boats with women who are skipping their own boat for the first time, and
Keep talking.
and then to get experienced skippers to go out and do it. But I don't know of any actual hurdles other than money for it.
I want to pull up this picture. So this is a picture of women in wind. And I'm not trying to be difficult, but I think one of the challenges too is when you're younger and you have younger kids that you're looking after, it's harder to get out on the water. It's harder to be able to do that. So unless your kids are involved in sailing, which is how I started in all of this, it was because my daughter was racing, and so I was like either going to sit on land and continue to drink all day long, or get involved and wait for my drinking for later. But you can see that in this picture we have a couple of young women in here, but the majority of us are older. We're more established in our career, we're more established in the family, which gives us more of a leisure time to be able to sail. And so I think that's part of it as well. And I think that you see that we like to get involved in sailing more when we have that more independence and we're not always having to be worried about the kids. And that's honestly why it took me a longer time to get back into sailing, was because it was just that independence and having the ability to do that.
And there's a difference between a woman boat owner and a woman skipping a boat in a race.
Yeah.
Because you can own a boat and have only ever cruised up the river and just come back. But to go onto a start line and there's 30 boats, that's something you have to get from experience. You can't just buy a boat and show up at the start line.
Yep, absolutely. Though we have, Kelly. Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. So, great question, though. Yeah.
Just a quick question. If we want to know more about the programs that you offer for women or that are offered for women, what are the networking opportunities? Do you have a website? Do you have a link onto the...
Certainly at NSC, we go through the racing and you go to the fleet committee, you'll see who is responsible for each part. So certainly my name's out there. Yeah, so come and talk to me, of course, because I'm the NSC Women's Fleet Racing Fleet Rep. But there's also the names of it's Leo Evans, who's doing the dinghy sailing skills program as well. So come and talk to me afterwards, and I can get you in touch with anyone else you need to go to.
And we have a women's fleet rep at BYC.
Yes.
Yep.
Any final questions?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. I guess there was one comment that struck me, and that was on the Monday nights when there are more women looking to sail on boats and not enough boats. And I think of the 500 slips, is it out there? And even on a weekend, how many are full, or there's boats at those slips? So I feel like we can do better as a club in supporting with the most basic part of this, which is boats that are available. Now,
I think we can do better as a community, not just a club.
fair enough.
That's why BYC-ness coming out here.
Awesome. And speaking of other clubs, we did note the comment from the Lac de Chêne member. So we just thought we'd do a quick poll just to get a sense. How many is this the home club, Nepean Sailing Club? Stephen, are you counting? So that's maybe about half. And how many are BYC, Britannia? Oh, wait, one arm man, please. Right on, hi. The Lac de Chêne Sailing Club? All right. Anyone else from another club? Awesome. Same? Well, welcome. Hey. Do we have a prize for the longest distance travel? Maybe next week. But I think what a great way to kick off our series, and also great pictures, guys. And I know that we survive in the winter looking at videos and pictures, and that raft up in particular. It feels like it's a different world in days like this and weather like this. So thanks also for a little slice of that paradise that we all enjoy. But Lisa and Kit, I don't know if these LCBO gift certificates will last till the next raft up, but thank you so much. And that was really wonderful.
Thank you very much. And thank Kobe.
Yeah. And I think unless we have any other issues that we need to address, I think we're going to wrap it. And thank you all for coming, and hope to see you out next week or another week. So thanks.